Welcome to Find Me in a Book. This podcast is meant to be like you're talking to your best friend about romance books. I share my passion with those who love to read, those who don't have time to read, or those that don't like to read, but still want to know and be involved with book conversations. Thank you for being here. Let's get started. Hi, welcome back. I'm excited to be here. Welcome to everyone that is new. I am Tav. I'm the host of this little book podcast, and I'm just excited for y'all to be here for another week, another episode. Excited about this episode. We're doing 3 books in one, so you're welcome. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was a good week. If you've kind of been following along, I said that I did get a job, but I don't know. I just didn't feel good about it, so I don't have a job. This is my job. Everything's great. I feel good about it, and we'll just leave it at that. But I do have some really exciting news. So I am going to start streaming on Twitch, and I have been like deep diving into YouTube this week and really figuring out how to do it. So every Wednesday and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I am going to be on Twitch, and I'm going to be streaming for maybe an hour, 2 hours, it just depends, and just going to talk about books. And you're welcome to join me. I would love it if you join me. It's basically like, a live stream that you're able to go on there. And I don't know if you have to sign up for an account. It's free to sign up. You can find me. It's just Find Me in a Book. I think it's Find Me in a Book podcast or Find Me in a Book. I should be on there. And you can watch and interact and share comments and share books. And we can talk about books and just talk about anything, which should be really fun. I'm really excited. I have been writing down a lot of things that I want to talk about and discuss. And even if no one joins, that's okay. I just will talk to myself, which is what I'm doing right now too. So I'm really excited about it. It's something new, something fun. We'll see how it goes. I've made it super cute, and I just hope I know how to work all the controls. And it should go really good. So definitely follow me on there. I don't know yet what the difference is between a follower and a subscriber on there, but at least follow me. That would be awesome. And then you'll get notified when I go live and all that. So in case you forget, you get little notifications, and it will be really fun. And you can go in and out of the stream, just anything. So really excited. Definitely join me there, which would be super great. A little bit of book news. So remember, what episode was it? It was Whitney G. And she came out with a book called I Wish I Would Have Told You. And it was kind of a forbidden, I didn't know this, but I knew it was kind of a forbidden romance, but it was forbidden and toxic relationship. That was the trope, I guess. Because it was, with forbidden, it was her twin sister's boyfriend that she was into this relationship with. And after reading it, because this is also the one where Whitney G, the author, was don't read the blurb, don't say anything, it's a surprise. And there was a twist at the end. But not enough to be oh, don't talk about it, But I guess there's going to be a second book. I don't know if it's related to the first book, because again, she put don't read the blurb, don't read anything about this, go into it blind. So that's what I'm going to do. And I want to say it just came out, or it's about to come out in the next week or so. So I think I will read it, because I enjoy Whitney G's writing. I enjoy her as an author. So it's just, I don't know what it's about. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know if it's in the same universe as the first one, or within the same friend group, or just completely separate. I don't know, but I'm going to let you know. I'll probably do an episode on it, just so that you can know and you don't have to read it if you don't want to. I am still reading When the Moon Hatched. I have been obsessing over it. I got 3/4 the way through, super, super fast, and then life has just kind of, everything is hit and I haven't had time to really like sit down and read it because a couple other books distracted me that I read first, like in the middle of it. So yeah, I am about to go back and read it, like the last half, and then I most likely will do an episode on that because it really is so good. It's so good. But also I kind of don't want to do an episode yet because it just came out, like, and it's going to be a series. I hope there's not like a huge cliffhanger. I'm guessing there will be, but yeah, I don't know when the next book is coming out, so I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, you have to read this, and then we have to wait, So then I'm also excited to read Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. That one, I'm just really excited. It just seems funny, and I'm all for a funny book. And yeah, so that one is the next up. And then I don't know when I'm going to start all the Sarah J. Maas books. I don't know when, because I'm trying to wait for my sister, but I mean, she's really busy. She has 4 kids. And so I don't know if I just want to be like, okay, like I'm going to start without you and kind of get ahead, or I don't know what I want to do. And do I want to reread ACOTAR and then go to Throne of Glass and then Crescent City? Or like, do I just like trust myself that I remember enough from ACOTAR to be able to go into the other series? I don't know. I haven't decided that yet, and I know it's gonna be like a really big like project, I guess you could call it, and so I just haven't got myself to want to start it yet. But I will. It's going to happen, hopefully within the next month. We're also in the middle of selling our house, the one that we have in Utah. So also doing that and having to fly back to get things going. It's just been kind of crazy the past couple months, but nevertheless, I don't know if I've ever used that word out loud. I will keep doing episodes and keep you updated. And yeah, it'll be good. Like, I'm really excited this year that there's so many books coming out. And then this month, I think Elle Kennedy's coming out with one. Tessa Bailey's coming out with one. I think hers comes out in like 2 days or tomorrow or the 50th. I don't know. But Tessa Bailey. So I have to do those episodes. So we have plans. Like, there's plans for a lot of different books. So I just got to squeeze the Crescent City and the Throne of Glass books into the schedule somehow. Oh, also, I did want to update you. If you listened to last week's episode, yes. Last week? Yes. With the fake mate. That one, I realized Okay, so I realized why I didn't understand like the werewolf omega alpha type thing, because it's called the Omegaverse. And I watched a TikTok today on it, just a little bit, saying that the fake mate and also the one that Allie Hazelwood just came out with. Oh, what is it? What is it called? Mate? So the one that she just came out with werewolves. That one, I guess, is in the Omegaverse as well. And I need to research it, but all the comments, people are like, oh my gosh, be careful. Like, it's kind of alarming, like, once you get into the Omegaverse. And I'm really nervous. Maybe I can just find some TikToks that explain it to me instead of me Googling it. But it makes more sense now of why I didn't really understand it and why there wasn't a lot of explanation. I mean, I guess I wish Lana Ferguson, who's the author, she would have said, like, at the very beginning, like, hey, look up the Omegaverse before you read this book, then you'll understand like the relationships more. I wish there kind of was that thing, because yeah, I went into it blind, and you guys know, like, I really didn't understand the aspects of like the omega, the alpha, the beta, any of that, other than like the regular werewolf books that I have read. So I want to research more into that. I think I might actually do that during the live stream. So you'll get like live reactions of me probably freaking out and being like, oh my gosh, this is what this means. Wow. Okay. So yeah, there's that. I just wanted to give the update for that. And then today's books plural, okay, so I'm going to say for the mother-sister standard, if my mom or if my sister would read them, I want to say yes to both of them, just because, well, I don't know. Here's the thing. So my mom would really like this if the sex scenes, which I call toast, if you didn't know, the toast scenes if they were fade to black and it wasn't as spicy, I think she would really, really like these books. Because it's based in like Scotland, Highland, kind of that. I mean, it's during like current time period, but she just loves anything to do with like Scotland and the Highlands and anything like that. So yeah, I think she really would like these books. It's just they're really spicy. Like she would have to skip through a lot. And my sister, she would like them as well because of like the Scottish and all that, but she also doesn't always go towards contemporary books. So I don't know. It's iffy on her. And I think I'll suggest these books to my mom, but just let her know like, hey, they are quite spicy, so you're gonna have to skip quite a bit. But that's the thing is like these toast scenes, they aren't really like pertinent to the story, I guess. Like you can easily skip through them. They are kind of long and pretty detailed, but yeah, she'll still get like the same, like there's still the sexual tension, there's still like the relationship building and all that. So she'll still get all of that, but she'll just probably skip like the actual like joining, if that makes sense. So this is like a second series to another series that Samantha Young has written. I don't know what term. Written, I guess. I'm going to question that now. Anyways, so there's 5 books in that series. And then in this series, there also is going to be 5 books, but only 3 of them have been released. And the first series, the first one's called Here With Me. And that's about like the Adair family, which they're the owners of the location that we're going to be in these books, which is called Ardnock. It's Scottish, so of course I don't know how to pronounce it, but Ardnock Estates. And this is basically a place in Scotland. It's a very private estate that caters to the rich and powerful. And it comes with like being like anonymous, basically, that people and paparazzi don't know that you're there. It's just basically like a safe haven for them. And I want to say that the owner, maybe his name's Lachlan, he like makes appearances in these books in this second series. He, I think, was like a celebrity, and I think he came and just wanted to create this place that people could go to feel safe and to get away from everything. And so yeah, there's 5 books in that series and kind of wraps it up with that family, and then it starts this series. And the first one is Beyond the Thistles, which I just happened upon this book on Book Outlet, which I love going on that website. They have books for a great price. And that reminds me, I did place an order. I need to check where the shipping is because I placed another order for quite a few books and it's been a little bit. So, yeah, I found it on there. And so I read it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, how did I not hear of this book before? And Beyond the Thistle came out May 2nd of 2023. So I wasn't like too far behind. And then I was at Barnes & Noble and I saw that the second book had come out. And I was like, okay, I really like these characters. I really like the storylines. I really like the writing. I'm going to pick up the second one because I think it was like a buy one, get one 50% off too, maybe. So the second one is called Among the Heathers, and that came out on December 5th of 2023. And so I literally finished that book last week because I think I bought it like 2 weeks ago. So I finished it last week, and then I received an email for saying that the third book had just been released because I tried to sign up for the arc of the third book. Because I didn't know that they were related. I didn't know it was actually the third book. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like this author. So I signed up. I didn't get one, which is fine. They didn't pick me. But it was perfect timing because literally a couple days after I finished the second book, the third one came out. And I was like, oh, wait, this is such good timing. And so I immediately read the third one. It took like maybe a day and I was obsessed because by the time, which we'll talk about, by the time the second book ended, there was like a little like blurb of the third book. I was like, oh, I need to read this third book. And then boom, it was out. So I was like, literally perfect timing. Because, yeah, that one came out on February 1st, so it was perfect. And the third one's called Through the Glen. And, yeah, these are all from Samantha Young. I had never heard of her before, these books. But I'm definitely going to look up her other books and any book that she comes out with after this. There is the fourth book. It's already been scheduled to come out on May 9th. So we have a little bit until it gets here. And then the fifth book is actually already scheduled too. It comes out August 8th. So yeah, very excited about the next book. I don't know what the fifth book is going to be about, but I do know what the fourth book is going to be about, which we're going to talk about a little bit. And these are, there's like a lot of different categories for this book. But technically, I guess you could say they're like a mystery, suspense, like contemporary romance. And I really, really like that she adds that into the story, that it's not just like all about the relationships and all that. There's like another plot behind like the bigger picture of like mystery. Like each of the people have something kind of go wrong or someone after them, and they work through it with their partner. And it just, yeah, it keeps your attention. It's so good. You never know who that person's going to be, like that is messing with them. And it's just, it wraps up perfectly at the end, and so good. So like I said earlier, it does take place in Scotland at a place called Ardnach Estates. Kind of going back to the first series of 5 books, these are kind of the tropes that are in there, which kind of match with this second series as well. So there's like enemies to lovers, there's nanny / single dad, there's age gap, there's friends to lovers, and there's second chance. So those are each related to the book. So like the first book is enemies to lovers, second book nanny to single dad. You know what I'm saying. So lots of great tropes to choose from. And one thing I did like about these books is that they could be standalone. Like if you really just picked up the second or the third book, like Samantha Young's writing is so good that she like casually mentions what happens in the other books, but not like just a whole big summary. You know what I'm saying? Like she works it throughout these books. And so you feel like you know what happened in those other books already. Like reading this series, the second series, I felt like I didn't have to read that first series because she weaves those stories into these books. And so I know what happens to like Lachlan. I know what happens to like his brother. I know like all those things, you know, and that was super helpful because with her writing, I was like, yes, I do still want to go back and read that first series because I did enjoy these books, but you don't feel like you have to. And like with this series, like I could pick up the third book, not knowing what happened in the first and second, and still kind of understand what did happen in those 2 books because how she just does her stories. It's just really, really well written. And all these books are just filled with emotion. These characters have a lot of chemistry with each other. There's like these friend groups as well, and they just like look out for each other. Very, very good. And I want to, go book by book. So Beyond the Thistle is the first one, which I have the physical copy of that one. And then I have the physical copy of Among the Heather. I just need to now pick up the third one. So the first one is about Walker and Sloan, which is really funny because my dog's name is Walker. And so if I keep saying that name, I'm sure he's going to walk into the room and be like, "What's up, Mom? Like, what's happening?" So it's kind of, I don't know if you've ever encountered that, like when you have an animal with a name that you like read about in a book or movie and you're like, I know, that's funny. Anyways, it's so weird. So we have Walker and Sloan. So Sloan, she lived in California. And she, growing up, she got involved with this guy that was just not a good guy. And he started to rise up in like in the gangs. And he was like a pretty high up gang member. And they had a baby, and she kind of got like separated from him just because she realized like how bad he was. And so she was basically raising her daughter on her own, living paycheck to paycheck, didn't know like where the food was going to come from, just having it rough. And so at one point she's like, I probably need to ask him for money. So she goes and finds the dad, like the gang member guy, and asks him for money. But when she walks into the room, there's another girl there with him. And somehow I don't know if I can't remember if the girl like talks back at him or something, that he like starts beating this girl up. And so Sloane tries to help. And while she like distracts him, I think the girl grabs his gun and shoots, but she accidentally shoots Sloane, I think in the arm or the leg. And so he kind of goes back and is beating her up, and Sloane is able to get the gun and shoots him. He doesn't die. He's just in like a critical condition, and she helps the girl get out of that situation. Well, come to find out, her dad is like Hollywood royalty almost. Like he is a big time like screenplay director. Like he just is super rich. And they're like, thank you so much for helping our daughter. I think because they didn't involve the cops, I want to say. Like they're just like, hey, how can we help you? We know you're in a bad situation. Like, let us help. And Sloane was basically like, I just need to get out of here, because obviously her baby daddy was going to come after her because she shot him, and just in like a bad situation. So they're like, hey, our oldest daughter, Aria, which we're going to meet Aria in the second book, but she is actually kind of the director or the head person over these Arndok. I already forgot how to say it. Ardnock estates. I know I'm butchering it. I'm so sorry. So why don't we ship you over there? That sounds so like abrupt. Ship you over there with your daughter. You'll be protected. You'll be at the estates. You can be one of like the maid service type people and just kind of get your feet under you. They helped her get like a townhouse and housing and get her a visa that she needed, and just set everything up and have her daughter go to school. So she's been there for a little bit. I honestly don't remember how many years she's been there. It's been multiple years, because I believe her daughter is, dang it, she's either like 12 or 13 or maybe like 10. Can't remember her, but she's like up there. She's not like a young kid anymore. And so she's there for a while, and works at the estates and lives nearby, just kind of living her best life. She also loves to bake, and she eventually wants her own bakery. So she kind of like bakes cakes on the side and has that passion. And then we meet Walker, who was traveling the world as a bodyguard, and he had about 2 decades of service in like the most elite branch of like the Scottish military. So he's got experience. He's like a pretty like badass guy. And his last boss, Broden Adair, who I believe is Lachlan's brother, they're in the first series. So Broden Adair, his wife Monroe, she is best friends with Sloane. So once Broden was like, hey, I'm going to help my brother with the estates, come and work at the estates, he was like, okay, yeah, I'll kind of settle down, be the head of security. And that's how he meets Sloane. And Sloane is very attracted to Walker, like very attracted. And one thing I like about this book is that it's not him pursuing her, she's pursuing him. Like she's like, I want to make a move. I would just love to, like, I just want to sleep with him. I just want something like that. And he keeps his distance. He's like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Like, I think you're really attractive, but I'm not looking for that. Like, I want to be a bachelor, basically. He's had a rough growing up and some trauma. And he's like, I'm not ready to settle down. But it's not like he's going out and like sleeping with a lot of other people and being a playboy, stuff like that. He's not doing that. There is a lot of chemistry between Sloane and Walker, which is something that I said at the very beginning, is that I really like how each of the characters in these different books, they just have so much chemistry together and sexual tension that it just, it's so, so good. And so things start happening to Sloane, like dangerous events, like breaking into her house and just like a lot of different things. And so Walker kind of gets a little bit paranoid. He's like, no, I'm going to be your bodyguard. Like, I'm going to stay with you until like someone breaks in, and then they stay with him. But he just kind of takes over protection of them. And that's where the sexual tension builds even more. And we also see like the love that Sloane has for her daughter and how much she wants to protect her from everything in life and kind of shield her from it. But also her daughter's like, no, I need to know what's going on too. Like at least a little bit, maybe not all the details, but so we see that relationship grow, which is I love. And also, I really liked Sloane as a character. Like, she doesn't want to rely on anyone. She, not even like her found family, which I did like that she found this family basically. And it was just really good. And yeah, Walker goes through like a lot of things. Like, he just keeps everything inside, and it's to his detriment. And so they have to work through like their communication and telling each other things, and they just start to fall in love. And then there's kind of like that a little breakup, but then they realize like they can't be without each other. And there's like, he's just a grumpy bodyguard that gets jealous, and it was perfect. I loved it. Absolutely. So that one, so good, because there again is that mystery and suspense of like who's messing with her, who's coming after her. And then we find out who it is, which I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil it because these books are so dang good. And then, okay, second book, it's called Among the Heather, which is with Arya, which we meet her in the first book. She's the daughter of the Hollywood director, so her sister is Allegra, which Allegra's book is going to be in book 4. And she's the one that was with Sloane. You know what I'm saying? So then a little bit in the first book, we also meet North. His name's North Hunter. He's an actor from Scotland. And he is actually known for like this TV series, and the writer of that TV series, Theo, we meet him in book 3. Well, we meet him in the second book as well, but his book is book 3, which is so good. I love how all these people are kind of connected. So North, he had a hard childhood. Like his parents died when he was 7, and then he was in the foster system. Thankfully, when was it? Like in his teenage years, he did find a family that he stayed with, that he really cared about. And then he went to like acting school and just kind of like went from there. And in the second book, sorry, the first book at the very end, something comes out about North, that he comes back to the estates to kind of hide himself. And it hits the news, and his PR, his agent is like, okay, kind of lay low. Like, we don't know if this is going to blow over. So we find out, yeah, things from his past weren't really what happened. He has to work through that in the book. But when he meets Arya, she immediately doesn't like him because she has had a couple of traumatic experiences while dating actors. And so she has a really hard time with like her self-esteem and her thoughts about herself. She has a lot of doubts about herself, a lot of, if you hear hard breathing, that is Walker. Just took him a little bit to get here. So that is not me. So anyways, yeah, Arya doesn't give him the time of day because she thinks that he is like it. And so Allegra comes to visit at the beginning of the book, and she sees that Arya and North have a lot of chemistry. She doesn't know North like at all, and neither does Arya, but she thinks that they just need to be in a room together. So somehow she figures out how to get Arya and North in this library, and she locks them in there. And she's like, I'll give you an hour to go through your beef. But she falls asleep and she doesn't come back. So basically Arya and North are like locked in this room, and he calls her out. He's like, why don't you like me? You don't know me. Like, how can you assume I'm like these other people when you don't even know me? And she's like, no, I know, like, you're right. Like, I've had these experiences. And they start to open up together. And one thing I do like about this book is that North falls first. Like, he is just enamored by her. And it's so cute. Like, he treats her so well. She has a lot of like insecurities, and he's so patient with her. And once they're out, like of the room, like the next day, he basically says like, hey, I will help you get through your insecurities. Like, you just let me know. And that day, Arya is like, you know what? Okay, like, what do I have to lose from one night with him? And so she shows up and they have toast, and he's like, stay the night. Like, I want to do this all night. And she is immediately like, no, like, thanks, but no. And so she leaves, like, and she already had a hard time, like, having toast with him, like, at the start, because she has all these insecurities. And so, yeah, he's very patient. He helps her. It's a great moment, great love story. A lot of emotions in this book as well, like of her working through her insecurities and him with his, and trying to prove to her that he does love her and that he's gonna like work on them. Like, it's very good. Like, he is all in. And so then there is also a situation in there that they have to figure out who is like sabotaging him. And yeah, that mystery and suspense, we love that. And we get a glimpse of Theo and Sarah. They're in the third book. We get a glimpse of them in the second book. I think we meet Theo in the first book as well. Maybe Sarah. I think Sarah is in the first series because her grandpa has like, he had a grudge against Lachlan and Lachlan's family. But something happens that the grandpa like helps them, and so it mends the bridge. And so we do move to the third book, which is called Through the Glen, which was just released. Theo is a guest of the estate, and Sarah has a job at the estate. She's a maid. So yeah, we learn a little bit more like her, or a little bit more about her and about her family. She is so shy. Her cousin lives on the farm with her and her grandpa. In the second book, her grandpa does die. And so in this third book, she is going through grief and figuring out what to do on her own. The second book, which this is the reason why I was so excited for the third book, because the second book kind of ends on this cliffhanger where it's Sarah's point of view, and she goes and knocks on Theo's door and basically says, hey, I have this book series that I want you to adapt it to a TV series. And he is so surprised. He's like, no, like, I've had this writer's block, but I write my own stories. This is not something I want to do. So then it moves into the third book. And Sarah is a best-selling author. Like, millions of books. Like, she is on the top charts, but she does go by a pen name, and so people don't know that it's her. And so Theo goes through like his writer's block, and he's like, you know what? I got to get away because his brother's kind of trying to contact him about his dad, and his dad is scum. And so he's had a rough childhood as well, even though he's like aristocratic. Like, he is, what is he? Like, his dad is like an earl or something. So yeah, he's like, he has an older brother. He's second in line, just lots and lots of money. And he creates these really big screen like thrillers. Like, he creates these shows, like he's who got like North really famous and all that. And so yeah, once she approaches him, he's like, no, don't want to do this. But yeah, once his dad and his brother start bothering him, he's like, I gotta get out, like, I gotta go somewhere. So he tries to find Sarah, but she had already quit her job because she bought a little cottage to write her books full time, because she was like, I just want to do this full time. Like, I don't want a job. I just want to embrace this dream that I have. And so somehow he finds her, and Theo is a very like cynical playboy, and he's just had a rough time with people betraying him. And so he is very much like, don't trust you. I don't want anything to do with you. Just very like abrupt about things, and doesn't want to have deep relationships or friendships. Even though him and North are friends, but Theo is still very gruff with him, as if like he doesn't want to admit that they are friends. And so he finds Sarah in her little cottage, and he happens to get there when she is so sick with the flu, like so sick. And when she opens the door, she like passes out, and he like catches her, and then he takes care of her for like the week that she's sick. Like, he takes care of her, and it's so sweet. And then he's like, hey, I want to do this. Like, I want to adapt your, at least the first book and the second book. I want to do this. Like, let's talk to our agents and figure this out. So while that contract is in the making, he stays there and he's like, hey, let's write together. So she's going to write her books and he's going to write the adaptation, like TV series with her. So they have this like little setup on the same desk and they write next to each other and they just create this like friendship. And after a couple weeks, maybe a month, that's when they've created this friendship. They've told each other a lot about themselves. Theo actually opens up a lot and he's never opened up to anyone else. And so they just like get closer and they have that chemistry. And this has more of a buildup of the sexual tension, which I really enjoyed. I think out of all three of these books, this third one is my favorite because I just really liked these two characters together. And so they create this screenplay. They have this, she's out about her books. Like, people know who she is now. And they just go through a lot of kind of relationship buildings. He has a lot of like, he doesn't trust very easily and people leave him. And so she helps him through that. And she's very shy. She has a lot of heartache and grief. And so he helps her through that. And they just like really come together. And then towards the middle, we find out that there is this person that is mimicking these murders after Theo's TV show. And so there is even more of like a murder suspense, like thriller in this third book that we're like, oh my gosh, who is doing this and who is his next victims? And it just is more like prevalent in the storyline, which I loved. I absolutely loved. And so they like help each other and then also like try and help with this investigation. And it's just so good. Like I loved this book and the writing. Like, I thought Samantha did really well on her first book. But with this third book, I just was absorbed even more in her writing. Like, she just has a way of portraying these characters and the atmosphere and their chemistry that I get sucked in, and I love it so much. So those are the three books. We have Beyond the Thistle, Among the Heather, and Through the Glen. I do recommend reading the first series as well, but again, it's not like a necessity to go back and read those before you read this series. I do recommend starting at the first book for this series, but yeah, again, you don't have to. You can just go straight to the third book and you'll kind of understand what happened with the others, because it doesn't really pertain to the storyline of these books of like what happened with the other couples. But yeah, overall, I absolutely loved it. I'm glad that I bought the physical copies for this because it was just so good. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed those books. Of course, I didn't tell you all the things that happened and the solutions to the mysteries and the thrillers and the murder mystery. I want you to go and read it. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely stay tuned and follow me on Twitch and tune into the stream on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and on Sundays at the same time. So I would love it if you join me on there. Go and say hi and we could just talk about books. I'm really excited for it. Follow me also on like Instagram and TikTok. It's just Find Me in a Book podcast. And wherever you listen to this episode, if you could rate and review and subscribe, follow, whatever those terms are, that would be awesome. But I'm grateful for you guys and I will hopefully see you Wednesday.